Good morning, Pittsburgh Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. Here with Rob and Donald, and hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. We had it was obviously a big sports weekend with baseball and football playing side by side. We all know who's king, but we still have some Yankee games to talk about while the season still continues to reach its end. But it actually was a very good series against Pittsburgh, despite not getting the sweep. I think one thing that can be taken away, I want to focus on Rodon's outing. Because now this is two starts in a row where he didn't have the exact results, but he was looking a lot better. He's starting to have more confidence in his entire arsenal, not just relying on two pitches. But when you're looking at everything overall, it's been a very blah season. Like we were making the statement earlier, we're still above 500. Boston's still 2 games below, but they have a better run differential. And Donald made the statement before we went live. Could you imagine what would have been if we had a season with Florial and more of the youth? Where they're trying out, some of their younger guys on the roster. We're throwing out Josh Donaldson, Jake Bowers, Billy McKinney, Calhoun, Cordero. Obviously it wasn't an exact balance for success. So the way that this month has looked, not that we're going to go on this miraculous run, even though we're still mathematically in it, but it really, I think it's still improving on the optimism for next season. You think that's a fair statement? Donald, what's your thought?
Oh, of course. I think had the Yankees chosen the direction at the start of the year, we wouldn't be in last place or we wouldn't be in fourth place. I think that we would still very much be in the wild card position. I've always stood by the fact that every organization needs to pick a direction. If they're going to try and win a World Series, they need to go all out to win a World Series. If you are trying to develop the youth, you need to go all out and develop the youth. If you do a little bit of 50-50, you do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, you don't go really all in. You're kind of half-assing it. And when you half-ass it, you don't get the best results. And that's what we found with the Yankees. The Yankees just didn't go all out to win a World Series because they left holes all over the roster. But they didn't go all out to develop their youth either because when they have called them up, they've been sending them down within a week. And there's no way to develop your prospects. So I think that Brian Cashman was like the only general manager in the league that actually had faith that Josh Donaldson was going to succeed in New York. And I think that had he gone with Peraza all year long, we would have had it. This would be a different scenario. They should never, ever, ever brought Josh Donaldson back for year 2. It was a huge mistake. Peraza should have been the starting third baseman along with Volpe at short, and allow them to develop. If you're going to leave massive holes all over the roster, you might as well develop your prospects. Sorry. Now, had the Yankees gone all out and brought in a left fielder and addressed their issues, addressed their major problems in terms of injuries and the major holes all over the roster, then that's one thing. But they didn't. So I really felt that the Yankees did kind of half and half, and they've been doing it for a couple of years now. They've been passing up on all-stars in free agency, passing up on all-stars and via trade, passing up on all of it to just kind of sit and not really do anything. So that's what has been most frustrating watching the Yankees over the last couple of years. So this past month has been the most refreshing, despite the fact that we're out of the wild card, and last year we were in the ALCS. I'm more satisfied watching the prospects develop late August into September than I have been in a number of years, because I had no faith that this Yankee team was going to win a World Series over the last couple of years. None. Zero faith. So I kind of knew the inevitability. But with this, there's hope. With this, you're developing something. With this, there's a direction. With this, they're like, we are going to go and we're going to develop these kids and we're going to see a better product. And we can now start working from there. We can now still build from this. Now you can look at it legitimately and say, hey, Florial can compete with Dominguez in the outfield. You can have third base Peraza, shortstop Volpe. You got Torres can play second, first base you got Rizzo, maybe Spencer Jones can get ready in a year or two. You've actually got a plan now. You got Wells that can play catcher. So these are huge, huge, huge difference makers over the last month that I've noticed, and I'm very, very happy for the kids. I really am. I think they've brought a breath of fresh air into the organization.
Yeah. Rob, how are you feeling about it?
Been saying the same thing for the last month now. This is what we needed to do. They should have never have kept Peraza down as long as they did, and same with Florial. And those are two players that should have been here from the start. I mean, I understand Florial because they went with Cordero and they had a healthier outfield at the start of the season, but they should have never have done that. Once the first injury took place, they should have given Florial a shot. He fell back into their lap. They should have given him a shot. And Donaldson should never have been trusted as much as he was, and they should have went with Peraza as soon as Donaldson got hurt 5 games into the season. Peraza should have been the guy every single day, and they didn't really do that. They had him. He was on like a 3 or 4 game hitting streak, and then they sent him down during the hit, or they benched him for a couple of games during the hitting streak, and it was just like that was the start of the nonsense of the season where they were just relying on so many different players that should never have been relied on. And it does make you wonder what could have been had they trusted guys sooner, had we seen Austin Wells sooner, and maybe even Dominguez. But those two guys specifically could have potentially saved your season in the sense that you would be 6.5 out and maybe we're a couple of games closer. But that's about it. This is still a bad team the way it was constructed, and it was certainly not – it wasn't helped by the fact that the team just kept relying on the Corderos of the world instead of trusting what's in your own system. And that's what we've all been complaining about. That's what we've all been saying. It's about time that we trust these guys. Florial was once your top prospect. Peraza was your number 3 prospect or number 2, depending on what site you looked at. He was either right below Volpe or right below Dominguez, and they never trusted him like that. And they've waited 2 years in a row now. They've waited until the last minute to finally give him everyday at-bats. And both times that they've done that, he's taken off. And he's been getting on base like crazy. He walked a couple of times yesterday but didn't get a hit. But before that, he was hitting like a madman. Florial's gotten on base every game but his first since they called him up. And you're looking at these things and you see what they offer defensively and with the speed and with the bat. You're like, imagine if they gave those two guys the same treatment they gave Volpe. This would have been a better team. How much better? I'm not sure. Maybe at least 3-4 wins. Maybe. I don't think that's such a stretch to say that number, but these are things that us fans saw from the get-go, but the organization didn't. This is why we're always so angry when they call us out, because like we're seeing things that you don't. This is why you have to bring in an outside organization to consult, to audit this team. This is why they have to bring these people in, because their front office isn't seeing these issues, but yet the fans, thank you, Dev, the fans are seeing these things, and we're getting called stupid. That's why we're all so angry. And I don't know. I mean, I'm glad we're finally seeing it, but it is a little too late because this season could have been something a lot more special had they trusted those kids and gotten us a jump start on 2024 sooner, because we could still be fighting for something right now instead of just a 500 finish.
Yeah, you make the statement that they're going 50-50, and that's why they're at 500. If you half-ass it, you get half-ass results.
Yep.
And you're sitting in the middle of it all, where if they would have brought the kids up, and we've talked about this, numerous times, if they would have brought these kids, if they would have given Pereira, Peraza, Florial, the Volpe treatment, we'll call it, and just let them start the season. Just cut the dead weight. Just let them start. Absorb the loss, but put the better talent on the field. And they were still at this point. I don't think we're as frustrated as we really are. I think fans are smart enough and knowledgeable enough that they understand the long term. There was no long term plan. Cordero, Donaldson, those guys. Those weren't the long-term solutions for the Yankees, like Rob was saying. You denied us all these free agents, right? Because the kids were coming. The future's on the way. Well, the thing about the future is that bar is never met because you can't, the future's always, it's
Down the line.
infinity. So they needed to focus on the present. And they really think we're stupid. Did they think that we were unaware of how good these prospects were? We follow these guys. We don't just follow the Yankees. We follow the Rail Riders. We follow the Tarpons. We're in this.
But it's not just sorry to interrupt. It's not just us following our own minor league systems. We follow the rest of the league. The rest of the league is trending that way. That's the big thing. And the Yankees were doing the exact opposite. Brian Cashman was like, "Oh, I'm still going to go with these veterans that I picked up off the scrap heap." While other organizations, you look at the Baltimore Orioles and you look at the Atlanta Braves as the best examples. That's the way the league trends. Younger. They go younger. They go athletic. They go within their own system. That's the big thing. And Cashman did the exact opposite. That's why we ended up where we were.
But we're just about the 12-minute mark. We got 12 people watching. Just remember, hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that sub button. And Donald, it is roll call time. Let's shout out this awesome chat.
Let's do it. Let's get the chat on the go here. Who we got? We got Dev Bench. What up, Dev? We got Damien. What up, Damien? We got Medina. We got Patsu Joe. What is Patsu Joe saying? Good morning to the best Yankee broadcasting crew ever. Thank you so much, Patsu. We got Sunil. Jeff Fans, I got your receipts here. Time to pay up. How about them Cowboys? Cowboys suck, but so did the Jets, so that's fine. NFE, good morning. Jonathan, good morning. Everybody in the chat, good morning. Hit us up with some more. But thank you so much for everyone in the chat.
And Dev, to your comment, yeah, my anniversary was awesome. We had a really good time, and we enjoyed the whole weekend. We didn't just make it about one day, but thank you for that. Everybody that did reach out, thank you. But let's get back to baseball here. All right, let's really break down Rodon so far through September. If we were getting this Rodon all season, when he was available, we understand injuries happen, right? He had the back issues to start the season. He had the show, whatever it was. Are we looking at him different? Like, is he coming out of that category of being a bust? Is he redeeming himself at all over these past couple of starts? I think he is. I think the fact that he's using more of his arsenal, he's trusting his entire arsenal, and we're seeing the results on the stat lines, right? Also, the comfort level with Wells, I think, is a very big factor. We talked about this last week. If you were to have a pitcher throwing to a catcher you don't trust, you are not going to use all of your pitches. You're going to use the ones that you feel they can handle. If you have somebody that can handle the pitch, you're throwing everything. We talked about that with the relationship between Cole and Sanchez. That's why Sanchez didn't really catch Cole, because Cole had no trust in his breaking ball with Sanchez behind the plate. Same thing now with Rodon, right? He had his 1,000th strikeout this weekend. Awesome to him. To me, that's still a nice milestone. It's not good. It's not a Hall of Fame number, but that's still a nice milestone to have. Is he redeeming himself at all? I think he is. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been saying it from the start. He probably gets a pass for the season. We shouldn't excuse him for the 7 runs that he gives up. Every so often. There's been games where he's given up 7 or 6 and 5. You can't excuse that. You can't look at his ERA and go, "Oh, but it's the injuries." He's got a near 6 ERA. But I think his last 5 starts, 4 of them have been really good. So you take that and you look at it, you go, okay, that gives you reason to believe that when he is 100% next year, he's going to be much better. We never needed him to be a number 1. He needed to be that number 2, that 1B, I guess, but he needs to pitch better, obviously, and I think he will be. If next year he has like a low 3 ERA, we're not going to be calling him a waste of a contract. He's going to be really good right behind Garrett Cole. He just needed to be healthy, and we knew that. And we know he's not 100% right now because he's had 3 different injuries in a span of a few months to start the season. It was the arm, then it was the back, and then he had the hip or the hamstring. So that's tough. You're asking a guy to be 100% after 3 separate injuries. That's a difficult thing to do. I still think they should consider shutting him down for the rest of the way because we're not right there in the playoff spot. But if they want him to just keep pitching and finishing strong so they can see what they can fix for next year, I guess that's okay. But yeah, I mean, everyone calling him a bust after one really bad start, that's just reactionary. And I think he has looked a lot better. And next year, I expect him to be a lot better. And I expect him to be that 1-2 punch with Garrett Cole that we signed him to be. Now, if we can put Yamamoto behind those two, our rotation is going to look really, really good. And yeah, Medina brings it up. His velocity's been up. And that's a very important thing. Because when he first came back, it was like 94, 95. Yeah, now he's pumping 98, 99 and hitting triple digits like consistently, which is always a good sign because his fastball is his best pitch. And he's an angry pitcher. So, and one thing he's really good at is pitching with guys is getting guys out when there's people on base. He's good at getting himself out of jams. Hasn't happened this year, but I think when he starts trusting his other pitches more, like we mentioned, he's going to be much better. Next year, I think he'll be fine. And they're trying to see if Wells is the guy. And so far, every time Wells has caught him, he's looked pretty good. So I think that's a good sign going forward.
Well, the whole pitching staff, from the rotation to the bullpen, they are raving about Wells' worth ethic with the pitching staff. I'm glad that they brought him up, but man, they waited so long. It was too late, too little, too late. But Donald, let's get your take on Rodon.
10 strikeouts yesterday. I'd take that all day. He's another strong start, another pitcher's strong start. You go 6 innings, 3 runs. That's, you can't ask much more than that. It's absolutely fine. It's a shame we couldn't get him a win yesterday, but the most important thing is to see him trending in the right direction, and it's certainly been doing so for the last few starts. I really like the partnership that him and Wells have got. Wells is doing a very good job behind the plate for Rodon, and it's something to build on for next year. And Wells is looking better too. A couple of better swings. Obviously, not so much the last game, but the game prior, the middle game this year, he was crushing the ball. So it was good to see. Wells, I'm a big fan of Wells. I'd like to see Wells be part of a platoon next year.
And it's Wells definitely you're seeing the improvements at the plate. I think we talked a little bit about Florial with his first game not getting the hit, but then Rob was saying he started to get a little more comfortable in the batter's box. You get those. Some people get those that first game jitters where they're just on such adrenaline, they're unstoppable. And then sometimes they just have trouble getting started. That's just, that's sports. You can't help that. But Florial's another one that's to think what could have, like we've been saying, I think that's just the way that September has been for us, or the second half of the season, as we're seeing these kids start getting integrated into it. What could have been, holy shit. We really could have put a run in. We could have been in first or second place wild card. I don't think we were going to get the division. I think that was the way Tampa came out of the gate. That was it. The Orioles caught them, and congrats to the Orioles on their playoff run. You talk about a team that kind of played hard and grinded it out. You always like to see some new. I know it's our division, but you do like to see different teams getting their chance to do something. But we've seen with all these injuries, there were so many opportunities for these kids to get their chance. And our genius of a GM decided I'd rather die with the veterans than live with the rookies. And that was the way that he was looking at this whole season. And then tried to fool us, championship caliber. You saw Judge go down. They refused to bring up Florial, right? And the way that, when they DFA'd him, nobody took him, so he ended up coming back. That was just more ammo for Cashman to say, well, this is why we can't play him. Nobody else wanted him, so why would I want to play him? And it's almost like they were trying to destroy this kid. Donaldson goes down. You try mixing and matching with LeMahieu. IKF was playing a little bit of third at that point. But IKF was playing mostly the outfield because we had no outfielders in our system. But it's so too little too late. You had these windows where there was the perfect opportunity to get these kids up because it wasn't like they were just going on a 10-day. We knew Donaldson was going to be out for, extended time. We knew Judge was going to, when Stanton went down, he went down for a little while. Judge as well with the toe. Those were windows where it wasn't just going to be a series or two. You almost had a month that you could have given these guys a fair shot. And they passed it up every single fucking time. It drives me absolutely crazy. Donald, what do you think?
Well, you know what I think. You definitely know what I think. But I do want to say that another guy that we deserve to give a shout out to is Waldo Cabrera. He's been hitting the ball so well. He's seen the ball really well. His line drive swing has been on. He's been crushing the ball. He's his numbers over the last 7-8 games, man. He's batting well over 300 with an 800 OPS. He's been crushing the ball.
Yeah, it's the positivity with that. Cabrera's looked really good. Even Peraza had a very quiet, hit streak that was going. I think it was 8 or 9 games. But the defense never slipped. I think that's the other key part of it. The defense has not been affected by trying to figure out the offense. So they're focused on what they're doing. They're trying to stay within their game while adjusting to major league pitching. So I think that's another part of with these kids that goes unnoticed is their defense has been fucking as close to flawless as you can get. A couple of hiccups. Volpe had the big one yesterday, but he redeemed himself with the home run. But as far as, with holding back the prospects, as long as they did, really making a mess of the season, Rob, let's get your opinion on that. That hasn't been said.
Yeah, we've been saying it all season. I don't know how much more we can say about the situation.
Well, all right. So we got the big narrative. There is a narrative where everybody's now watching how many games we're behind, who we're playing, and the fact that we're still mathematically in it, right? Are we fooling ourselves, or are those just those fans that just refuse to give up? And some of them are getting a lot of heat for it. And I don't think that's fair. It's okay to be, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic or overly optimistic, but you have to be realist. You have to be a realist at the same time. The Yankees are not making the postseason. They're not. They're going to make it fun towards the end of the season. They're going to give us, like we said, they're going to give us that optimism going into next year. But they're not making the postseason, guys. Come on. I know we're mathematically in it. Believe me, I still want to believe that there's one of those runs that, they can just shock the world. They're not shocking the world. It's just not our year. We've said it since opening day. It's not our year. It's not going to happen. What's your opinion on these fans that are refusing to give up and any of the hate, or angst that might be coming towards them for it?
I think just let people try to enjoy the season. Enjoy the season when you can. The thing that a lot of people are missing is that we do play Toronto a bunch more times. I think we got like 6 more against them. So it's giving people a reason to think that we could make a run. I don't think we will. But I don't blame people for having that sense of hope because we have seen crazier things happen in baseball. The Yankees have one of the best records in the game. I think they have the best record in the game since like late August. So they've been playing their best baseball at the right time. Unfortunately, they were too far out of it when they started playing their best baseball. So had they been 6.5 out of it when they started playing like this, we probably would be in a playoff spot or right there with Seattle. But we're probably not going to make it. And that's, look, we as a fan base, we've accepted that. We knew that was the case. And we knew that going forward, it's just about developing for 2024. And if you can make some sort of a run that gets you closer and you finish, even if you finish with like 83, 84 wins, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's say we do, and we still finish on the outside looking in of that third spot, you're going to be like, man, the future is bright. And you're not going to be happy about missing the playoffs, but you're going to have a little bit of excitement and you're just going to be ready and raring to go for the offseason to see what they do, because I do think big changes are going to be made, not necessarily with the GM and manager, but everybody around them. I think there's going to be a lot of changes made. So the playoffs, probably not, but until we're mathematically eliminated, then I don't blame people for having hope. Why not? Let them have something to watch the rest of the season. Yep. You know, there's no reason to start attacking people. I don't think anyone's being stupid. No one. I don't think there's anyone out there saying, you know, we're going to go undefeated. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to beat up on Houston. We're going to beat up on these other teams. I don't think anyone's saying that. But until we're mathematically eliminated, let the people enjoy. I never want to tell people how to be a fan. That's one thing I'll never understand. It's like, if you want to go watch the team at the stadium, go watch the team at the stadium. If you want to go watch the game at a bar or something, go. If you want to have a jersey with the name on the back, do it. Do what you want to do to support the team. Anyone that attacks you for being a fan and just trying to root for your team is ridiculous. It's like, you know, I'll bring up football for a second. There's fans that actively want to see the Giants quarterback fail just to support their own agenda. And when he does play well, they don't want to give him any credit. And I hate that. It's like if Josh Donaldson was having an MVP season, I would be backing him 100%. I said, look, I was wrong. I was wrong for doubting the guy. I'm glad he's playing well. I'm glad he's helping the team win. We obviously know that's not the case, but you got to support the players that are on your team. It's a simple thing. So if you want for the next 2 weeks to support the Yankees and still have that hope that they're going to make the playoffs, go for it. Personally, I don't think we're going to make it, but I'm still going to watch every single game. I'm still going to watch, and I'm still going to go and root for this team to win every single game the rest of the way through, because that's what you should do as a fan. Like that, you should watch your team. Now, if you want to see the team lose, I don't know. Then I guess I'll tell you how to be a fan. I think that's just foolish. Wanting your team to lose to fit your own agenda, I think is foolish. But support your team. If that means watching and being like, we're going to make the playoffs, and you want to give yourself that hope, go for it. Go for it. Go do what you want to do as a fan. As long as you're not being like an idiot and attacking players and stuff like that, that's fine. No one's being malicious by rooting for their team to win a game and try to make a postseason run. You know, that's just stupid for attacking people for doing that.
No, I mean, I'm still that lunatic that watches every game like we're on a postseason. You know, like we're on a postseason run, because that's how I fan. You know, from game 1 to game 162, I want to win every game. When something goes right, I'm jumping around like a lunatic. When something goes wrong, I'm screaming like a lunatic. You know, it's, you know, and even now, like even yesterday, you know, I'm paying attention to the game. I'm trying to, you know, I'm following along while I'm on the boat, and I'm like, she's like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "They're fucking losing again." You know, it's like, you know, we can't have anything nice. And she's like, "They're already out of it." I'm like, "That's not the point. My team isn't winning. That doesn't make me happy." So, but Donald, what do you think about all this?
As Rob says, I'll never tell fans how to fan, but what I will say is I don't really care whether the fans believe or not, as long as the team believes. I want the team to go out and believe. That's all that matters, is they go out and play every day really hard and try and win every day. That's all I care about, whether they succeed or not. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell fans how to fan. If some fans are going to believe more than others, I don't care. The only thing I'll say is I completely agree with Rob. It's that sometimes sometimes terrible things need to happen in order for the Yankees to learn, and they finally learned. So that's a good thing. By these injuries and by their own malfeasance, they actually learned, oh shit, we actually do need to trust our prospects. That's a good thing. Finally, they've learned. Hopefully, they've taken that on board for next year.
Yeah, and NFV, I see this comment here. Make sure you don't post videos on Twitter. There were a few that I was not able to post. The one that did go out there was fine, but no, there were a few. I'm like, my young nieces and nephews follow me on social media, but I gotta be. I said I can't post that. That's a little too vile. But I know what you mean, and it's the best part is, right. And I'll go back to that game that I was at with my younger son and my nephew and his girlfriend. That we were there for the 13 innings, and you had the first half. We are not having a good time. The first half of the game is demoralized with Dominguez. You guys all know the timeline, but it was the perfect example of what we're talking about, because you have, through a season, you're going to have all the ebbs and flows, but it also is game by game, where you're going to have the highs and the lows of the emotions. So you have to be yourself. If you're that fan that wants to stay involved and really live and die by everything that they're doing, then do that. If you're that fan's like, well, if they're not in the playoffs, then I'm not watching. You do you. Don't come down on one side or the other and tell somebody else how to be a fan. Nothing drives me crazier. Never mind the wins and losses of the team itself. When the fan base turns on each other because of how they root for the team, I don't care if you're a casual. I don't care if you don't even know, if you've never even heard of Aaron Judge and you're at the stadium, with a pom-pom. I don't give a shit, right? You do what you want to do. Don't bring down people for living the life that they're living, right? They're not hurting anybody by rooting for a team or giving up on a team. The one thing, and I yell at my brother-in-law and I argue about this constantly, right? And I'll tell you what we always argue about. When football season starts, regardless of how the Yankees are doing, he's just he's a bigger football fan, but he is a diehard Yankee fan. And he don't know what's going on unless I tell him what's going on, right? So, or he'll hear things and we'll argue about it. I'm like, but he's, those fans are the ones that are first in line when they win it all. They're taking their day off. They're at the parade like they've been there for the whole journey. You only want, it's like leaving, knowing that there's 10 minutes to go in the movie and you leave the theater. Just because you have you know how the ending is going to be. No, you got to watch it. You got to watch the whole thing. That's how I am. I can't leave it at the end of a movie before the credits roll. I try to. I've tried to do it. I can't. Rob?
Depends on the movie. I've walked out. There's been some really bad ones that I've seen. But no, I don't like leaving the game early. There was one that I went to in Miami. The Yankees were getting absolutely torched, and I'm like, I'm not sitting through 9 innings of this, so left early. But again, anyone, you watch the game, you watch your team to root for your team. That's it. We shouldn't be attacking anybody. I sat through 10 years of bad football with the Giants, and I watched every game. Just some people are going to be more into it than other fans, but as long as the end goal is we want to see the team win, that's it.
Yeah. Everybody, you and Donald know more than anybody. I'm not a football fan, but I do root for the Giants for this reason. When they were in the Super Bowl against The first one with Brady. I don't know the number. But it was, I was sitting there. My father's a big Giants fan. We were hanging out. We were watching the game. And it was just the two of us hanging out in his basement. We were having a few drinks. We were having a great time. And I'm like, and that's why I'm a fan of that's why I root more for the Giants than anybody else. 42, okay. But because now I have that memory with my father. And then when they went back a couple years later, we did it again. So, and that was probably the last time I watched a football game from beginning to end. It's just not it's not my thing. But, I will always be a Giants fan for that. Does that make me not a fan because I haven't, I don't watch it every game? Probably. But you can still root for a team without being a fan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you don't have to watch every single game. We know you're not a football guy.
Yeah.
We know that. You don't have to, you don't have to explain yourself.
Yeah. But I'm saying, it's if I was to say, I'm a Giants fan, but I haven't watched it, I'd be destroyed on social media. Don't try to be a fake fan either. Don't go out there. It's like those. You see all these celebrities. We're really going off topic now, which is fine. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save this. I'm going to tease it to you. We're going to talk about it tonight on the After Dark. The celebrities that wear the band shirts that you couldn't even tell you what song it is. You see all these models wearing like an AC/DC or a Metallica shirt, and they're like, they couldn't name one song. And that drives me up a fucking wall. But we'll talk about that later tonight because I'm looking for it's. I need something to talk about, but so Neil and I will be around. We'll be here at midnight. But for the series, the next series going forward, what are your? You think they're just going to stay the course and just give us what we've been seeing? Or do you think the bottom eventually is going to fall out where it really just becomes as close to unwatchable as possible?
Well, if they have any hope of making the playoffs, they need to win this series and play well. They can't be getting no hit 46% of the time. I think that's the stat that was put out there. I think 46 or 47% of the innings this year, we've been no hit. So the offense has been like catastrophically bad this year. And if we plan on beating Toronto, we can't have that. We can't be getting no hit until the sixth inning and then put together a couple of hits and expect or pitching to hold up against their offense. But this is a series that if we want to make some sort of miraculous run, let's say they take this series, then your hopes of the playoffs are still very much alive. But this is really it right here. These next three games, and they're at home, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Let's see how they do it.
Yeah, and Damian brought it up earlier. We're not making the playoffs how we need to ruin the Blue Jays' dreams, and that's as true a statement as any. I think part of why I'm still so engaged is we get to play the spoiler for a change. Instead of people coming and kind of, giving us a headache at the end of the season, where we were on the verge of getting winning a division, and we just go into this bad stretch, and now we're stuck in the in the wild card, and that was when it was a 1-game wild card, which I hated. Baseball it's not a one. One game was too. It just sucked. So I like this new playoff format, but I think it's time to start crushing somebody else's dreams for a freaking change. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, why not? And that's the worst thing about Cobra Kai, Sunil, is it's all 80s music. I hate 80s music so much. The 80s sucked. I'm just gonna say it. And there's probably a bunch of 80s people in the 80s sucked. Did I hurt your feelings there, Tats? Did I hurt you with that one?
No, I'm trying to.
It looks like you took that one personally.
I mean, that was when growing up in the 80s was not as bad as you think. Yeah, because we had, well, we were never inside. We weren't allowed in the house. If you were thirsty, the hoses on the hoses in in the backyard or on the side of the house in the alleyway. But we would get up at 10 o'clock. We were kicked out of the house. We weren't allowed back. This is when the street light came on, where you had to be home. If you weren't home and ready for dinner by 5 o'clock when the table was set, you were in trouble. That was when you really had to hear it. Always making sure you kept a quarter in your pocket to call home if you were going to be going from one friend's house to another, or if we were going to the park, we had to call if we were going to another park. It was just really different then, but it was so fucking fun. Playing. You didn't even know half of the kids you were playing with. You would just go to you would go to a baseball field with a glove and a bat and a ball, and everybody you would just make up teams, and you would play pickup games. Or you would play street hockey, or wiffle ball. It was just really different then. TV shows were better. We talked about that last Monday. The 80s and the 70s and the 80s had the best TV of any decade.
But there even any TV shows anymore? And I'm not talking about the decade in general. I'm talking about mainly the music. I think the music of the 80s absolutely stunk.
Okay.
I would say I don't know about the 80s. It wasn't there, but
like that whole new wave movement, like the new wave bands. The synthesizers. I can do without that. If it wasn't played with it, yeah.
No, because you brought up the people wearing the band T-shirts, and most of the time you're seeing Metallica and all those bands from the 80s. So I don't know. I don't like the heavy metal shit. I really don't, and I think a lot of those. I thought a lot of those bands sounded the same. I'm not saying today's music sucks too. I don't know if there's really a good era. And Sunil, you asked me, I grew up in the 90s. The 90s. It's not too far off. Yeah, 90s was great. 90s had a mix of everything for music, except in us country. I ain't listening. I would rather listen to an entire Metallica concert live than go listen to a country album. I will say that. Fucking hate country music. Hate it.
Yeah. No, Steve, you're right. They're overgrown. They're not even maintained anymore. And here you go. There's a reason to love the 80s, Rob.
Yeah.
Without the 80s, we wouldn't have you. But yeah, the 90s was awesome.
Not how I've been told the story.
No, I got into I actually enjoy some of the country music. Falling in Reverse is awesome. But yeah, I'm into all that. The more extreme metal, the more extreme the metal, the better it is. But the Men Without Hats, Jesus Christ.
Is that the one to do the safety dance?
Yeah.
That's the safety. Okay. Their names sounded familiar.
All right. No, country music's not bad. I got into country music with my wife. On the road when we would travel, and go away for the weekends. We always had it we played on the boat, but we play a mixture of everything. My music, nobody really likes to listen to. One, nobody can understand what the fuck they're saying. So, but
what are you listening to that no one understands what they're saying?
Well, I like more of the extreme metal. Yeah, but
like screamo bands.
Not screamo. Screamo's for fucking high school pussies.
Well, I can't understand what they're saying.
So, like, one of my favorite bands is called, is Cannibal Corpse, Behemoth. A lot of the darker metal. So that's what I really enjoy listening to. But I was always a big Pantera fan. Was it Play Country Film Band? So, yeah, definitely Slayer. I've seen Slayer.
I don't like Metallica, Sunil. That's what I'm saying. I don't like them. I'm saying I would rather listen to them than country, but I don't like them.
Rod.
Man, what's up? I never said I liked. Don't put words in my mouth, Sunil. You damn Cowboys fan. Don't do that.
But I'm a little off the rails here. But hey, it's the end of baseball season. It is what it is.
We don't got a game today, so we got something else to talk about.
It's hey, you know what? We're just a bunch of guys, a bunch of friends hanging out, having a good time. And they're actually. When I see this, was this Sunil's comment about playing it backwards? Oh, Steve. There's a song. I'm gonna. It was from Rascal Flatts, and it's It's a song about pretty much country songs in reverse, where they actually talk about getting your house back, your wife back, your truck back. So it was a very funny track. Corn Disturbed. Yeah, I remember Disturbed before they were signed. I saw them at Starland Ballroom in Jersey. Right before they were getting ready to sign the record deal, and then they got onto the Ozfest tour. I saw them before they really they were known. Godsmack I've seen before they were really popular. A few bands, but some of you, I was in the music industry, business for a while. So I got to see a lot of cool band, meet a lot of cool people. Maybe we'll talk. Maybe I'll share some stories with you later tonight. But we're gonna wrap this up a little early. There's really no game to break down for tonight, but it's with the Toronto. No, is there a game tonight?
No, there's no game tonight. And Sunil, you want to keep living in week one and do what your Cowboys fans do. Just keep living in the past. You must have loved the 90s, Sunil. It's the last time your team was relevant. So keep on 40-0. Oh, the Cowboys. You're gonna go into that cycle where this is where they are Super Bowl bound. It's our year, and you guys are gonna hit a block in the road or whatever you want to call it. In the middle of the season, you're going to get to the playoffs. You might win a playoff game, and then you're just going to collapse like you always do when it matters most. So keep running your mouth, you damn Cowboys fans. You do the same thing every fucking year. Fuck Dallas. You guys could have beat us 80-0, and I would still say the same thing. Fuck the Cowboys.
Well, like I said in you and Donald's defense on last week's midnight show, you could talk about winning week one all you want, but if you can't win a playoff game, what's the point? So enjoy your week one, because that's all you get. And so take that. Let's wrap things up, guys. This has been a lot of fun. There's no game, but Sunil and I will be here for Pinstripes After Dark, and a little teaser. We'll give you a little bit of a teaser. Going into next season, you will be seeing some different things coming from us. So make sure that you stay subscribed. Make sure you keep hitting that like button. Come hang out with us in the mornings. We will be here Wednesday, and we are going to we're making a few changes. Don't worry, none of the hosts are leaving. We're just going to be building and expanding, bringing on new things to see, new things to hear. And no.
No. I finally had something to cheer about yesterday, and now he wants to come and ruin it. That's why his name is Mush. You see what he's doing here?
Oh.
Yeah. He's trying to mush my happy Sunday. I finally had a good Sunday because of the Giants, and he wants to come and ruin it.
Okay. I'm like, wait, what did I miss? Okay, now it makes sense. But all right. Remember, tell everybody about us, right? Let's get the subscribers up. We're still about 30 away from 400, and we're hoping to reach that mark fairly quickly. And remember, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell the stranger on the street corner. Let's build this community even more than we already have. You guys all know how much fun it's going to be. Share it with everybody. So, as I always say, wear those pinstripes of pride and play on.